My name's Terry Scott. Silver and gold, man, I ain't got it. What I have, okay, I give to you. I give it freely, but it's not me. It's not me giving it to you. It is the Holy Ghost of the living God. Alright? This is my journey from birth to meeting my Savior. I would never do this. I didn't grow up this way, I don't. Anyways, this is from God. I was born in '64. My mother told me I came out backwards, feet first, with the umbilical cord around my neck. Not in the best of shape, you know. The first 2 weeks of my life, I starved. My mother's milk was no good. I don't know what the doctors called it, but it was like water, you know. It was no good. They thought I was a colicky baby, you know. Anyways, my mother she was a daughter of dirt poor farmers, dirt poor, you know. God love him, my grandfather, he had a grade 3 education. Now my father, he was from an upper middle class family. He wasn't with us long. He went to jail when I was, I don't know, 2.5 maybe. 2. Mom said I kept setting out plates for him, you know, every night. Making her set out a plate for him to come home for supper, but he never did. He was a hard man. 1% outlaw, heavy club. So my childhood was spent running around this slums, that's all you can call it. I mean, you see where black people grew up in the States nowadays. That's where I grew up in 1964, in Vanier, in Ontario. My childhood was, I didn't know I was poor. How can you know you're poor when you're born now? You don't know. You just think it's normal. Anyways, I'm not going to fill this story about me. This is about my spiritual journey. So we were alone, just me and my mother and brother, and the various men that would come and go. I had one God and one hero in my life when I was a kid, and that was my father. I'm going to show you a few pictures, because I don't lie. I've never lied. I was born into the belly of the beast, thrown in amongst wolves, you know, for real. For real. Anyways, when I was 7, a man came into my mom's life, and he's been there ever since. Well, I didn't get along with him. He didn't like me, I didn't like him. I didn't like anybody. Any human being that tried to exercise authority over me, look out. That was it. From birth I was like this. Police, doctors, anybody. I mean anybody. School teachers, anybody, you know. So we didn't get along. But before he came, there was two other things that happened. When I was 1.5, I either fell out or was thrown out of a 18-wheeler, a parked 18-wheeler. I hit my head on the pavement. I was just a baby. I don't remember the consequences of that, but I do remember it happening. And another thing happened, and this is important because I believe they call it trauma. And in the neighborhood I lived in, people like drunks and pedophiles and freaks, they would flash on the sidewalk and streets. It was a bad neighborhood, man. But when I was 3 years old, I started peeing blood. Now I had a lot of pain before that, every time I would pee, but I never told anybody because I just never did. Whatever happened to me was my thing, you know? Even as a kid. But I was peeing blood, and it hurt a lot, you know. So my grade 3 teacher, she was an old lady, 80, 86 or something. Her name was Mrs. Curry. And I came into the classroom, it was empty, just her there, and I told her what was happening, and she pulled down my pants and looked at it, and it sent me home immediately, you know, or to the nurse, I mean. And I went to the hospital. They took me to the hospital. I would never go on my own. Anyways, make a long story short, after the operation, my mother had to she had a rama, a tube about 8 inches long, down there every day, 3-4 times a day. And I can't tell you, this wasn't my mother's fault. But I can't tell you the pain. It's unspeakable. Anyways, that's it. But shortly after, my stepfather came along. He knew where we were. I mean, it was a bad, bad place. He took us out of there. He was a hard-working guy, you know. He took us out of there, and he was a hunter. He was a farmer, too. And he was a hunter and a fisherman. And from the day he came, that's all we ate, was fresh vegetables, wild meat, and that's what I grew up on. Fresh, like from age 7 till 15, all I ate was wild meat and vegetables. Best thing that ever happened to me. But the new house, we never owned a house. It was an apartment, but it was the bottom of a house. And this is anyways, my brother and I had a brother, a year and a half younger than me. A real gentle soul, you know. And one night, you know, demons attacked me. Like, I mean, attacked me. I was just a kid. You know? And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It affected my brother as well. Though I don't think they got into him. But they got into me. to this day. My brother suffered a heart condition that night and had to be hospitalized, along with me, who also suffered a heart condition. Like, I think they said it was high blood pressure. I don't know. But I broke things. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I was hysterical. When a child is attacked by demons, it's not funny. They took us to the hospital. My brother was released that night, but they kept me because I was the only one insisting. There were monsters in my room. They hooked me up to machines, you know, like with those caps and hundreds of wires sticking out. I don't know how long I was there, maybe a week. After that, it was, you know, they sent me to shrinks, which I hated. For a couple of weeks, I had to go. I was only 7.5, okay? 8 at the most. But after that night, after that attack, I became evil. Real evil. I tortured my brother from that day till I left home. I did unspeakable crimes. I don't want to talk about that stuff as much. That's not important. But when I was 15, I was arrested for armed robbery with violence. And my partner, well, he wrote everything down in a diary, you know? All the jobs we'd been doing. Over 30 in total. And when the detectives came to where I lived there, I was 15 or 16. The person that was injured was in a coma for a week. Didn't know if they would live or die. When they arrested me, they were still in a coma. I never said anything, not a word. Not to the cops, not to anybody. They pulled out the bloody bags of evidence and stuff, and it didn't faze me. I was scared, but I never showed it, ever. Hear me, ever. Anyway, shortly after that, I left home. I knew, like, this stepfather, he beat me all the time. Not with his fists, just belts and straps, and drawing blood on the back of my legs and stuff. It didn't bug me. I got that every day at school, man. Every day. I got that everywhere because I wouldn't listen to anybody. Understand that? It's like it was born into me or something. I don't know. But it was a war zone at home. A war zone. So much so that, believe it or not, I actually called, when I was, I think, 13, I called Children's Aid, you know, like the place that diddles and screws up every child on this damn planet. I called them, and they came and got me, and but they wouldn't keep me because I was too happy. I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe I found a home, you know. And I guess they're only there for troubled kids, which I was, but I was happy to be somewhere else. And anyways, I was there a week or two, that was it. After that, things got worse at home, you know. And I was gone. That's it. I was done with that, you know. And my mother begged me to stay, crying. She begged me to stay. Told me she'd throw him out and all this stuff. I would have none of it. I knew if I stayed, I would literally just destroy my mother and brother. So I left. I ain't no baby, alright? I never cried in the streets. But I left, and with the evil in me, I was evil, you know. But I also had good in me. I had a good heart. I did. I didn't want to do what I was doing. I never did. A lot of times when I did stuff, crimes and stuff, it's like I was watching myself outside my body doing these things. I'm telling you the truth. I've never lied in my life. That's the truth. Everything I say is the truth. Only cowards lie. Anyways, I spent a lot of time, not a lot, but enough, around the club. And my dad. That's my dad. And a sergeant at arms. When I was 11, I marked myself up really good. The gang of kids I was with when I lived at home, we all made our own tattoos, you know. Ironically enough, the first tattoo I ever made was a cross. Followed up with a swastika and other things. It was a mess, you know. But my dad, I think that was my 17th birthday. And I went to Kingston and, you know, we partied it up and got that taken care of. And, he got this put on me. But there was a time when my dad stopped being my hero and my God. And that was one night. He lived about 10 hours from where we were, you know. So I took the bus out there, and it was just supposed to be a party weekend, you know, with my dad. But I had to meet him at the club bar because that's where he was. When I got in there, it was winding down. It was near the end of the night, and the whole table was full. I mean full. Maybe 12 patch holders at the table and 6 or 7 standing. But at the end of the table where I walked up to was a 6.5, 7 foot monster named Bear. Anyways, as soon as I walked up to the table, he reached out with his giant frickin' paw, grabbed me by the testicles, squeezed harder than any voice could, rocked him, did everything you could think of to make me cry or scream or, you know what I mean? But I never did. I didn't flinch. I wanted to crack him in the head with a broken beer bottle, but I had too much respect for my dad in the club. When he saw that wasn't doing anything to me, he grabbed my arm and he bit into it. Now, I had $1,000 very heavy biker jacket, like a really thick leather biker jacket, a jean jacket underneath, and a flannel shirt. He bit through all three and into my flesh in my arm. I had teeth marks, purple, whatever. When he did that, then I knew, you know, screw everybody. It was time for action. And all I did was I said the word dad, like, because I didn't know what was going on, you know. I didn't understand. My dad, when I said that, the whole table erupted laughing, along with my father. When I saw that, I grabbed that guy by the hair. The second I grabbed him by the hair, he stopped. The second. But that was the night that I lost all respect for my dad. You look sideways at my son, I'll put a bullet through you. You hear me? That's how I was. That's how I raised my son. I protected him. Nobody got near my son. Okay? And I don't care how big you were. Alright? And I proved it. In my past, I mean. So after that, my heart changed a little bit because I knew that wasn't the way. You know what I mean? It just wasn't the way. So I was a full-blown drug addict and alcoholic. Even when I was a child. I mean, the first time I smoked marijuana, I must have been 7 years old, in a circle, in the clubhouse. Marijuana and wine. And I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Oh, okay. Listen. When I was attacked by demons at 7, I told you I turned evil after that. Something else happened after that too. It wasn't just that I turned evil. 2 things happened. From that day forth, every night, and I mean literally every night that I went to sleep, I didn't have dreams like normal people. I was in some other world, and it was all demons and monsters in this other world, and they chased me, and I can't. Every night, okay? Every night. Also, I got migraine headaches after that, really bad. But I also got something else. They called them suicidal migraines, and they had to take me to the hospital and pump me, inject me with green liquid every time I had one of the suicidal migraines. When I had a regular bad cluster migraine or something, I just suffered. But when I had the suicidal one, I can't describe it to you. I can't. It's unspeakable, the pain. It's like when my mother, you know, had to fix me up. Unspeakable. So anyways, that's why when I was young, my dad wasn't around when this happened. I think he went outside of the clubhouse or something. You know, the first time when I was little and I sat in a circle. They used to sit in a circle, you know, and pass the bottle and join around. And I slept like a baby that night, you know? I mean, drugs were it. Drugs and booze. They took care of those demons, you know? And I emptied my stepfather's liquor cabinet constantly. I don't know if he knew, but I did. And I would fill it with water after I drank it. I would go to school drunk and stoned. Acid was a huge thing in the 60s and 70s. And the late 60s and the 70s, I did a lot of acid. Had some really, really bad trips. Really bad. I'm going to share one so you have an idea where I come from, okay? We robbed a drug dealer. Man, this guy got out of Innis Road prison, and I just met him, you know, that night or a couple nights before, and same heart, same mind. We hung together, you know. We robbed the drug dealer at knife point. We broke into his, we kicked in the window and went in. Next day, we were partying, and I got a bunch of acid for us, but I took about 6 hits of this acid, and I completely lost it. You know, like, I mean, you want to talk demon possession? You have no idea. Dug a hole in my wrist, trying to pop my vein. You'd be surprised how tough veins are. 3 floors up, I had an escape rope. I always had an escape rope wherever I lived, because the cops come in. You know, you got to have a way out. I tied the escape rope around my neck and I jumped, trying to kill myself. Had bad rope burn, but I landed. Garbage can had the lid open, and I landed like this on the garbage can. Okay, like on the lid. And that was the extent of the rope. Had that lid not, or that garbage can not been there, that would have been the end of me. I'm not going to give you all the details of that night, but it was insane. I was stark naked, covered in blood. This was in a project area, like the slums, you know. And I was growling, and I beat up a lot of people. I broke doors down. I threw TVs through people's patio windows. Then I took it to the street, and nobody would come near me. Everybody was running, and I mean, they were scared. You know, these were street people, hard ass street people, man. The whole, you know, the whole complex was partying. It was a Friday or Saturday night, so everybody was on their balconies partying. And this is, to me, it was like a horror movie. I mean, I was standing, there's a big pool in the back of the projects, but it wasn't, no water in it. Nobody ever, I mean, there was never water in it, right? But lots of broken beer bottles and stuff people would throw from their balconies in there. And I was standing in a deep end on the top of the thing, and all the buildings, everybody was out, and I'm naked, covered in blood, and they're all screaming, "Jump, jump," you know, like all of them. And anyways, I didn't jump because they told me to. I jumped because I was out of my mind. I cut up my stomach pretty good. I got stabbed under both armpits that night as well. Then the cops showed up, and there was a lot of them. There was 12. I had a knife, naked again. I had a knife. There's a couple hundred people in a circle around me, facing these about 12 cops. They pulled out their guns. 2 of them pulled out their guns to shoot me, you know. But my brother was, he was in the crowd, and he screamed and begged him not to shoot. He said he knew me. I dropped the knife, and I charged the cops. These are 230-pound cops, man. I was throwing them around like they were toothpicks, you know. But there was too many of them, and they beat me down with their, you know, those sticks. Anyways, I just tell you that to tell you that that night that I just explained, I didn't give you all the details of it, but that's typical on the streets, okay? That was how I lived, alright? Messed up, you know? Violent, hateful, angry. I'm leaving an awful lot out, because like I said, Anyways, the only time a change came in my life was here. That guy's name was John, and he met me at the river, okay? I used to drink behind the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. I was barred from a lot of places. Like I couldn't drink, you know, a lot of places. I used to drink at bootleggers, and when I was a kid I drank at bootleggers and behind the Parliament buildings a lot. And this guy found me there, and you know what he said to me? He said to me things I never heard in my life. He told me about Jesus, who I heard of, but didn't know about him, didn't know nothing. Told me a little bit about Jesus, told me a lot about sobriety, like living without booze and drugs. I never heard that in my life, okay? You gotta understand, I ain't no punk, okay? There was no rehabs when I was doing my thing. This place was, it was not a government rehab, okay? It was run by speed freaks and bikers and stuff. And, excuse me. I'm sorry. I have to take a break.